Hello and welcome to a short review for a short story from my 13 Great Stories of Science Fiction, this fantastic little old book that I've had for ages. It's a wraparound cover and it's often random authors. So yes, I do know there's a bruise on my face. It's getting more vivid. I talk all about that in the quarterly wrap-up that I posted on the 31st of March, and I needn't do it again. So for April, I do want to go through more authors whose surname begins with G because I'm doing my alphabetic challenge. And in this edition, there is Wyman Guin. I think it's Guin as in the Guin. And I had not heard of this author, American author, who was primarily, however, a pharmacologist and advertising executive, but best known for writing science fiction. It sounds like he wrote quite a lot of it, and some of it looks really quite gorgeous. I was not previously aware of him, but in 2013, he was posthumously awarded the Cordwainer Smith Rediscovery Award at ReaderCon. So, I came to this story, which is called Volpla, Knowing Nothing. It was kind of fascinating. Now, the editor in the introduction to Volpla, and actually, who is the editor? I've forgotten already. The introduction is by Jeff Conklin. The introduction says biological invention is a rarity in fiction as well as in real life. And that is a real standout element to Volpla. We start with this main character who is a scientist, but some sort of private scientist weird scenario. He has a lab attached to his house, which sounds like a gorgeous ranch house. His daughter skates around it. His son has a Mustang. He's got a lovely wife who makes cocktails for him on the terrace. But attached to it, he's got this laboratory with all these experimental animals. And what he's doing is he's doing some sort of mutation experiment to increase their mutation and apparently in some way directed. So there's a lot of interesting but very low-key futuristic buildings. So he's got some sort of radiation machine that he puts his experimental animals in to make them change, and he's been changing them for a long time. Apparently he started with street rats, but they've evolved into something that occasionally looks simian and occasionally looks more cat-like. He's going through a lot of evolutions, and one of those involves fusing one of the fingers, getting it to extend and then fold back over the forearm, only it can flick out. So his goal seems to be to create a not flying, but a gliding animal superior to the Australian great glider, who can glide very well, I can tell you. And you've got a future in which unmanned shuttles are being sent to the moon, to Mars, to Venus. People don't drive from house to house. They come by some sort of weird hovercraft. There's a lot happening there in the background. Now, our main character, whose name I've already forgotten, is this kind of, I don't know what the male option on Manic Pixie Dream Girl is, but he's kind of like a manic pixie scientist. How one would have enough money to do all of this, and apparently he's never published a single paper either, but he is, and he's got all of this stuff. And then he evolves this new lot of 3 animals, 1 male and 2 females, and he's playing with them. They're really cute, they're gorgeous, they're smart, they're learning things, and then the male starts to talk. And the lead up to that is that the skulls have actually changed from the more rodent type to something much, much more simian and more resembling a human structure, including the dentition, and I think they mentioned the throat as well. Hence the surprise of the talking. Now, this guy is not a scientist. He's doing science, and I'm going to guess that Wyman Guin was trying to make points about science out of control, or hubris, or not thinking through what you're aiming for. I don't know. But I lost patience with the main protagonist a lot because he's behaving like a twerp, an irresponsible twerp. His idea is to create this whole mutated species, feed them mythology about how they came from the stars, and then release them in America to cause chaos. And it backfires spectacularly. He releases them on the ranch, and they're starting to build little woven nests and make a life, and they're developing a sociology, and it's all quite fascinating. But then something goes not so great. He finds out that they're flying to his daughter's room, and she's teaching them to read and watch television and telling them all this stuff about the world that he didn't want them to know. So he goes raging off to the chief of the Volplas. He's called them Volplas for no particular reason that I can see, and complains about this. And the chief is a bit disenchanted with him. He's saying, we're not sure that we trust you anymore. This other man further up the hill shot and killed one of our number. So manic pixie fantasy scientist goes raging up the hill, and he finds out it's actually his son, and his son is devastated. He's talking to the Volplas. He's terribly apologetic. He thought it was a crow, and he shot it, and now he's angry with his father and a bit desperate over the whole thing. Anyway, this whole science exposition joke on humanity, with completely lack of ethics as to what these obviously intelligent creatures are going through, has now backfired on him, and he doesn't really know what he's doing. Next thing you know, all the Volplas leave just as him and his son are on their way to talk to their chief about what the next step should be. It turns out that they've been stealing his newspapers out of the mailbox, and they know there's a rocket about to set off for Venus. And the manic pixie fantasy scientist had told them they were originally from Venus. By now they knew he was lying, but they decided to go there anyway, so they hijack this shuttle, load themselves on board, and then send back a final message saying, "We forgive you, but feel free to come and visit. You told us we were from the stars, you lied, but we're going to go back there anyway." And this is a fantastic ending. The ending redeems the story. It redeems the annoying fantasy pixie scientist guy who I really didn't like, but I'm pretty sure that we weren't meant to. And it ties the whole story up into a nice little bundle with a very feel-good element to it. So, I've now spoiled it, I suppose, but you can still enjoy reading it because the reading experience is very fun. Volpla by, I've already forgotten his name, Guin, Wyman Guin. I've never met anyone called Wyman, it's sort of weird. Is a great story, thoroughly enjoyed it. Where was it first published? Let's find that out. Copyright 1952 by Galaxy Publishing Corporation, and it was reprinted in 1956, which will probably be this edition. Thoroughly recommend. Great short story. Random author. Tell me if you've ever read anything by this author, or if you know him, because I certainly didn't. And thank you for watching. Read good short stories or read good books.